This video is brought to you by Sony's Action Cam, which of course you guys should be familiar with by now, as I've mentioned it several times, but you can do a very vast array of things with it, from taking it onto your snowboard, your surfboard, in the air, in the water, whatever you really think of. It can really be quite versatile. So let's take a look at a quick clip. So there you go, it offers things like GPS and live view remote, all sorts of cool things that are built right in to make all your videos that much more action oriented. So if you're interested, go ahead and click on the annotation on the screen here or in the description box below to find out more about Sony's Action Cam. Are you guys sick of the Sony Action Cam yet? I know, I sure am. That's the last advertisement you'll see from me on that for a long time. But what I wanted to show you was some of my bench clips, starting off here at light 135 for a few reps here. Now, what we're working on is actually changing some stuff up. So I moved my grip in. Right now my pinkies are on the rings. I'm also starting with my feet further back, and the reason we're trying to do this is to get my hips higher than my knees, and I do accomplish that. But I have to tell you, this was very uncomfortable for me. I felt like my lower body was very tight, but this left my upper body feeling not as tight, so a little bit looser. So I'm going to continue to play around with this. I also need to work on actually opening up my hips more. Yes, opening hips on the bench, because I feel like that would get me better planted. Here you see my last heavy working set for these paused benches. I also have a little bit of a costume fail here, as it looked like I was visibly excited by these benches. But sometimes what happens is when you wear compression shorts, your Johnson just wants to come out and say hello, so I had to adjust because I wanted you guys to be able to focus here on the pressing itself. So some of the other things you might be able to see, you can see a slight arch in my back actually. You can also see how my elbows are coming down and the bar's coming to probably just about the bottom of my nipples, which I'm sure is a visual you guys all wanted to have. But this was my last heavy working set for a normal paused competition style bench. So after that, we moved on to 6 sets of 4 of the Spoto press. So for this, you come down about an inch or so off your chest, pause, and then press again. Now this is the first set that you're seeing, and based off of this footage, I would say I need to pause better. However, going forward with the other 5 sets that I didn't film, I will say that my pausing did get better. I used 245 here as well for those that were interested. We then did some sets of close grip bench press with the slingshot, again with this one. 5 sets of 6 on this. And I did try to do a pause with these too. And for some reason, I just feel really comfortable lifting my head off during these sets. I don't know what it is. Again, that's probably something I'm going to want to work on going forward. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. I'm in the kitchen, obviously, hence the echo and the weird atmosphere. Now, I think I'm just going to sandwich this between training clips. And sandwich is a good word because we are in the kitchen. So might as well just show you what I'm eating. Just got back from the gym. Might be a little bit hard to see there. Haven't mixed that up yet. That is a serving of instant rice, the 90-second kind, the whole thing. So it's like a cup and a half, maybe a cup and 3/4, and a pound, yes, a pound, of 93.7 lean ground beef. As I take you guys out of focus instead of taking you back like I meant to do. I'm also probably gonna throw in some of this holy guacamole. This is my jammy jam. This is what I really like, and I throw this on everything, and probably some hot sauce as well. But that's another story. While I'm sitting here waiting for this to cool down, I figured I'd talk to you guys a little bit about macros, because I am back on the grind, back on that MyFitnessPal joint in here. I figured I'd go ahead and go over at least what my macros currently are. So let me go over what I'm currently aiming for and then explain why they are what they are. So first of all, my caloric intake goal is, pepper the Angus, ready? Get ready for this, 2,550 calories. Not a ton. Right now, let me give you my stats actually. So as of this morning, I was 6'4"-ish, 226 pounds, which is the lightest I've been in a long, long time. Usually I average right around 230. So I guess I haven't been eating as much as I thought the last couple of days. But intake, I just dropped down from 2650. So I dropped it 100 calories yesterday actually. And the reason I do that is only because of my current lifestyle. And I'm not talking about that lifestyle. It's not the NWB lifestyle, not an alternative lifestyle like some of you may have figured. You did see the Beyonce in the last video. But just because for the most part, besides going to train for about an hour and a half or 2 hours out of the day, I'd say probably I train 5 days a week right now, and I also go to the gym on my off days just to get some activity going, which plays into the main point here is my activity level is very, very low. Not to mention I'm a little bit older, I'm 33, but literally I get up, I sit in the car for an hour, I drive to work, I'm then at the office for like 8 hours, I then sit in the car for another hour, so it's 10 hours out of the day right there. I go and I train for maybe 2 hours, come home, relax, sit around, answer emails, whatever. Not very active overall. So my actual caloric needs are fairly low, not to mention I'm not a grown boy anymore. In fact, I'm an old man and losing my gains and going catabolic by the second, so let's hurry this up. So I gave you my caloric intake, 2550, which for me is just under maintenance, and the reason I just dropped it is because for the most part I was at 2650 for about 2 or 3 weeks and my weight was remaining constant, so that probably tells me that's right around my maintenance. Now of course, it's really tough to tell because your caloric needs change on the daily, baby, but after about 2 or 3 weeks, I decided to drop it by 100 calories. Now my macros, I'm looking at MyFitnessPal because I don't know them off the top of my head. My daily goals of that, carbs being 255, protein 223, fat 71. I think that roughly breaks out to a percentage of 40% carbs, 35% protein, and 25% fat. I don't necessarily stick to those numbers right down to the dot. I allow myself to float a little bit, so that means I can either come in high or low on any one of those. And as long as I'm around 2550 and nothing's really too disproportionate, I don't really have an issue with that. So that's how I do things. Now, as days go on and weeks go on, I do kind of allow myself a day that's a higher carb intake. So very similar to a refeed, but it's not as regulated just yet. I know a lot of people like to do cheat meals. It's kind of the same general thought process, although a cheat meal really isn't as well regulated as a refeed is. Going forward, as I start to get a little bit leaner, now for me, I consider lean around 217 pounds. So if I were to drop about another 10 pounds, that's really lean for me, for my height and just my overall physique or lack thereof. So I'll probably start implementing refeeds once a week. Typically I'll do this on the weekend. I'm not as strict with my calories on the weekend just because I have the tendency more to go out and do things kind of out of the norm. Now during the week, because I'm working and my schedule is so regimented, I don't have a problem with tracking and coming right on plan every time, just because again, it's easy to do. I get up, I go to work, I have breakfast, I have lunch, I come home from training, I have dinner. Things are pretty regular in that sense. So I allow myself the weekends to kind of YOLO it a little bit, but enough talking. You guys have an idea. I'm sure you're gonna tell me in the comment section below about how you're eating 5,000 calories and you're still in a deficit. That's fine, everybody's different. For some reason, people don't seem to realize that. But again, my activity level is low enough where those are my numbers, and I know they're my numbers just because I've been doing this long enough and I'm anal enough with tracking to know where I'm at. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat because I'm hungry as a motherfucker, and I'll talk to you guys in the next clip. All right, so getting ready to go to the gym, and I'll do a video when I'm in the car outside, but I thought I'd also just show you some of the stuff that I am bringing to the gym today. Now, one of the benefits of having a YouTube channel and having one that's moderately successful is that I get a lot of money from the channel that I put back into it, and I buy different things to try out, not to mention people send me stuff. So that being the case, I have way too much gym shit, and before you ask, no, I will not send it to you, but bring some stuff. So I'm going to be bringing some of these slingshot compression little sleeves. I've actually been dealing with this week a little bit of discomfort in my right elbow. I'm going to give these a shot and just see how they feel. I see a lot of people wearing them. I'm only going to wear one though, so I might be a little bit off balance. I'm also gonna break out the Ray-Bans, the Rebans, whatever you wanna call these knee sleeves. These are a great pair of knee sleeves. I do prefer the SBDs. However, I still spent 80 some dollars on these and there's nothing necessarily wrong with them. So I wanna go ahead and break them out. And then speaking of spending money on stuff that there's not necessarily anything wrong with, I'm gonna be breaking out these Adidas Powerlift trainers or whatever the hell they're called. You can see right there that they have that really weird little barbell on them. So they're legit. So I'm gonna be wearing these only because again, I think when these came out about 90 bucks on them. And as you can see, based off of the tread, and I'll zoom back in there, as well as the overall condition, they're still pretty much like brand new. So there's nothing wrong with these. I figured I'd go ahead and wear them. Again, I prefer my Addy Powers, and I actually have a pair of Romaleos coming, which should come tomorrow. And I was kind of bummed only because it'd be cool if they came today so I could put them into use. But I'm wearing these little shoes, these little sleeves, these little guys, and probably you'll see my blue Inzer belt. So the matching is definitely on point today, which actually isn't usually in my forte. I'm usually all over the place. But that being said, while I'm talking about other stuff, you can see I'm wearing the older school gray Campbell Fitness t-shirt. A lot of you guys have your black ones. In fact, many of you guys will be getting in your tank tops soon. I think we actually have a couple extra black shirts and a couple extra tank tops. I'll throw a link in the description if you're interested, only because I know some people don't necessarily have the time to buy them before, because we only do these 1 week pre-orders. And on top of that, while I'm pimping myself out, I got that Forged Iron training hat going on, who does all my shirts. And the reason I'm showing you that is just because my friend that runs it, he actually has his first powerlifting meet coming up tomorrow. So you guys should be seeing this on Friday. Today is Friday, but he should be competing tomorrow. So big ups to you. He's gonna do great, I know it. And anyone else that's interested in doing a powerlifting meet and not really sure if you should or not, definitely do it. You will enjoy it and you won't regret it. So I'll see you guys in the car in just a minute. And while I'm here, look at that little wildebeest. Who sits like that? And who buys chairs that look like that as well? So he's looking out there. Mako, what's out there? What do you see? And of course, Howard can't be left alone. Go get him. Look at that. Mako needs to do some squats. He's a little bit fluffy in the back. Howard, say what's up to everybody. Oh, good boy. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. All right, so back in the car as promised. You guys probably already figured out what I was doing today because I showed you the knee sleeves and the shoes, but I am squatting. I think the plan today calls for working up to a somewhat heavy 3x5 and then taking the belt off and doing some pause squats. And pause squats are something that I've really been enjoying. I think today it's interesting because these pause squats are an inch out of the hole. So you go in the hole, come up only an inch and pause. So that should be interesting only because I've never done that. And I'm sure I'm going to struggle with finding the right spot to pause, but that's what training's for, to get better at it. So that's what we're gonna do. And we'll check you guys inside with some shitty commentary. So as I stated, I had to work up to a 3x5, and I ended up going with 425 on this particular day, and I found that it went all right. I wasn't overly happy with depth, but then again, I never am. But one of the things that I will note, as the day progressed, my depth got better, which tells me I should probably do a little bit better of a job warming up. That's just my general consensus, and I can kind of agree on that today. Didn't spend a ton of time only because I wanted to get in and get out. So when that happens, mobility and warming up kind of go to the wayside. Now, one of the things I do want to mention, as I showed you both before this clip and as well you can see right now, I'm wearing those Adidas Powerlift trainers. I haven't worn these in a while, and to be honest, these can't even compete with my Addy Powers. I will probably never be wearing these again, at least for squats, unless it's maybe a deload week, only because these don't even feel like Olympic weightlifting shoes anymore. I gotta be honest with you guys. I know a lot of you guys have them and you might like them, but if you're thinking about upgrading to something better, I would definitely suggest it, because like I said, my Addy Powers blow these out of the way. Now, I can't really comment on the Romaleos just yet. As I mentioned, I will be getting them tomorrow, unfortunately. Sad, but at least I have something to look forward to. I will be doing a comparison of the both to let you guys know. Now, other things that I'm rocking, as I mentioned, I'm wearing that compression sleeve on my right forearm. This thing was really tight, super tight. I'm talking first girlfriend behind the bleachers at school tight, if you know what I'm saying. I wore these for my main working sets, but I took it off after just because it was pretty uncomfortable. Like I said, this is a 3x5, so I wanted to give you a little bit of a different angle each way. The knee sleeves, as far as those go, these felt okay. They aren't as tight as my SBDs, despite the fact that my SBDs now are a size large and these Rebands are a medium. That's not necessarily a good thing, though. What I mean by this is I found that I had to pull these up sometimes every few sets just because they tend to slide down my little old legs. So that's just something also to keep in mind. Now, with the Rebands and SBDs, I do have a video review of the both of them. However, these are a little bit more comparable just because the pricing is very similar, whereas the Addy Powers and Powerlift trainers, you're looking at about double the cost. So for these knee sleeves, I think it's a no-brainer to go with the SBDs. Now, from there, what I mentioned, we had to work on some pause squats out of the hole. So go down in the hole, come about an inch or so up, and wait, and then press. I started light with these 225 because I never did them, and this was something that was very difficult for me to do, because once you go down in the hole, I just want to explode out. I just want to get in and get out, and very honestly, it's similar to Just the Tip. If you guys have ever played Just the Tip, it is not something that's easy to do. No one can play Just the Tip. You either go all in or you're not in at all, if you know what I'm saying. So the second set here, I jumped up to 275 again. These are beltless, and these actually felt really good. I was kind of worried that these were going to be way too heavy. I wasn't going to be able to explode, especially because just going an inch or so out of the hole again is difficult and something I haven't done. 315 also feels really good here. However, because I started so light on these, I was actually really building up the volume, so although I likely could have gone heavier with some of these sets, and you'll see my last beltless set here of 365, I just felt the volume was probably getting to me at this point where I didn't want to overdo it. Again, being new to this exercise, I didn't want to blow my load too early because, let's be honest, no one is satisfied when that happens. And I really need to reel it in because I am going off on some bad sexual references. I apologize, but I haven't made a video in several days. Some of you guys miss it. Some of you guys need it. And some of you are just disgusted. So either way, I can't really win with this. So that was my heaviest beltless set. I then just strapped on the belt and went for 405. I probably should have gone heavier on this also, but again, being new to this, I wanted to ease my way in. So I'm going to let you watch this. Besides these exercises, I also did some glute ham raises. I did some lunges as well, only because I was supposed to do leg extensions and leg curls, but there were some people just basically camping out on that machine equipment and didn't feel like waiting. So there you go. That's the workout for the day. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope everyone has a good weekend. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.